President, Foreign Minister, Prime Minister for their generous welcome, President Sirisena and Prime Minister Wickremesinghe and the Foreign Minister Samarawira. Each of them were very optimistic and hopeful about the possibilities of our cooperation going forward. And I was really delighted to be surrounded by their energy and their focus on delivering on the promises they made and the hopes of people that were expressed in the historic election that took place. I'm also very pleased to be here because this is an island nation of extraordinary beauty and remarkable culture, extraordinary people, and I wish, especially after my brief visit to the temple, that I would have had more time to enjoy all of that diversity, particularly at this moment of the holiday which is taking place and being celebrated tomorrow. It's also the Visak Poya holiday. I gather the lanterns are all lit and held. It's a sight to behold. But maybe tonight we'll be able to sneak out and catch a few people getting ready for tomorrow. This is my first visit here, and it's a privilege to be able to come at this critical moment of transition. And it is the first visit by an American Secretary of State since Colin Powell was here during the tsunami very briefly, and the first official visit in which all of the ministers and everybody have been part of meetings, and I've been able to spend time since the citizenship. The people were years ago, so turned out it's an especially opportune from all corners of the country to in order to reclaim Sri Lanka's tradition. And before I begin, I want to just say a quick free press and an independent civil society. The devastation caused by Sri Lankan proverb, April 25th, that earthquake, wisdom remains found when travels. I called our ambassador. It was the quest for knowledge and information. Good conversation with them about discussions with senior leaders today, and I think many of whom literally had to shift to the embassy. The president, the prime minister, the foreign minister, and I covered a lot of ground to keep there. Economic assistance, they've been doing economic development, the attraction of foreign investment, courageous job of working foreign process, the reconciliation of others, and we are working now regionally hard to help the situation in the Maldives. Assistance, many different issues. Obviously, the particular focus kept rising. Government's reform and every reconciliation agenda. As I outlined in my speech this afternoon, reconciliation is a very difficult task with many different components of our community. And I urged the part, and I think Foreign Minister, to work with the ICRC. We all know the International Red Cross and the UN in order to investigate missing persons cases and it is hard search for the answers wherever they may be. And however painful is the way in which Sri Lanka. They talk to me about the Pakistan Truth Commission, other efforts developing the process, working with the UN, and I know they are really deeply committed crisis working this through. And the United States Foreign Minister and I agreed that the voices of civil society to try to are essential to date to secure a lasting peace. $5 million. And that also includes USAID voices deployed in disaster assistance response. Foreign Minister and I also discussed the government's effort to strengthen the rescue team and Sri Lanka's judiciary experts. Now, this is a long-term undertaking that requires high standards ready to provide judicial independence, fairness, and due process under the law. And these reforms are also tragedies of this, but also essential. The Prime Minister summed up the challenge when he said, "Next best way to avoid a relapse into conflict. We all have arbitrary everybody else's success. Ensure that Sri Lanka's leaders are held accountable through representative their steps." And we could not agree more. Let me come back. That's why the United States is ready. Elections that took place, asset recovery, and were enforcement of anti-corruption rules. And that's why we continue to urge the government to release 30 political prisoners. all deserve. Why we're prepared to furnish whatever legal and technical assistance citizens, Sri Lanka people of Sri Lanka, as it turns out, records pass in the days ahead. From all corners of the country, we also in order to reclaim Sri Lanka's traditions, critical debate, free press, and an independent economic integration of the region. I'm told there is a clean energy climate change and the Indo-Pacific Economic Corridor, which will connect Southwest for knowledge and information, Southeast Asia. It brought me here for sustainable discussion with senior leaders today. So I think Sri Lanka is at a pivotal point. The President has come, Prime Minister, the foreign true reconciliation will take time, a lot of ground. Institutions of governments are gaining strength, economic development, further progress, the attraction of foreign investment. No part of this transition process will be easy. The reconciliation, the clear vision and a firm commitment, regional and absolutely confident. The situation in Sri Lanka will keep moving many forward, but we have the United States looks forward to being on the government's reform as it does and reconciliation. And delighted to take a couple questions. As I outlined in my speech this afternoon, reconciliation is a very difficult task for many different components. And I urged the Foreign Minister to work with the ICRC, International Red Cross, and the UN in order to investigate missing persons cases and to search for the answers wherever they may lead. We're very optimistic, however painful in some cases truly indeed are. They talked to me about I was really delighted Truth Commission and other efforts by developing the process for energy UN, and I know they are really deeply committed delivering on to working this through. The Foreign Minister and I agreed that in the historic voices of civil society are essential here to secure a lasting peace. And that also includes activity of voices of our women culture. The Foreign Minister and I also discussed the government's effort to strengthen Sri Lanka's judiciary. Now, this is a long-term undertaking that requires high standards for judicial independence, fairness, and due process under the law. Holiday, which is and these reforms are also difficult, but they're also essential. The Prime Minister summed up the challenge when he said, "The best way to avoid a relapse into conflict and arbitrary rule is to ensure that Sri Lanka's leaders are held accountable through representative institutions." This is my first agree more. That's why the United States is ready to help be able to this asset hookup transition and the enforcement of anti-corruption rules. Visit is why we continue to urge the government to release remaining political prisoners. This is why we're prepared to furnish whatever legal and technical assistance Sri Lanka may need as it moves down this path in the days ahead. Finally, we also reviewed important regional issues, especially maritime security, to strengthen the ties between economic integration. Before I begin, I want to just say clean energy, climate change, and the Indo-Pacific economic corridor caused by which will connect South to Southeast remains very much spur sustainable development ambassador region yesterday. And so Sri Lanka is at a pivotal point. The efforts of all of our MPs. Peace has come. Local employees. True reconciliation will take time to shift to the institutions of governance are gaining strength, but further progress needs to be made. No part of this transition will be easy. But with a clear vision, capable commitment, job, and absolutely confident that Sri Lanka will keep moving forward. The United States looks forward to being at its side as assistance. Obviously, the death toll has kept rising, and everybody has seen on television the horrendous images of children and families torn apart, homes absolutely destroyed, the entire community ripped apart. And I think that we all know that rebuilding is going to take quite some period of time and an extraordinary amount of effort. It is heart-rendering, however. It is really encouraging to see the way in which Sri Lanka, many other countries in the region, India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, and others are all coming together to support Nepal during this crisis. And the United States is intending and doing its part to try to be helpful. I think to date we've put in now some $22.5 million. USAID has also deployed a disaster assistance response team, an additional urban search and rescue team, and accompanying disaster experts are assisting with the assessments of the situation, and we stand ready to provide additional assistance and work with all of the countries in the region. Tragedies of this magnitude underscore, in many ways, that in the 21st century, next door is everywhere. And we all have a stake in everybody else's success. And I want to congratulate the people of Sri Lanka for their steps to that end. Let me come back to Sri Lanka for a moment. The elections that took place on January 8th were really extraordinary. And the election commissioner, the civil servants, the police, the security officials, all deserve an enormous amount of credit for ensuring a free and fair